Hey guys, Miles here, Point Control. Going to do a calibration video, and this specific video is going to be a little different. It's going to show me doing it outside of the headset. I added a page. The last page of the manual is kind of a training screen that will enable you to go through the calibration procedures without the headset on, just so you can get comfortable with the techniques and procedures. So when you put the headset on, you're kind of lost. You can't see things. You're trying to remember the process. So this will enable you to look at references and go through the same exact process as you would in the headset, just to get comfortable with it. Hopefully it'll make things easier. I'm trying to streamline it. It's a universal device, so there is some setup involved. I know there's been some challenges, and I keep changing the process, so you early adopters are might be getting a little frustrated because I'm changing things on you, but I'm trying to make it better, and I think we are getting better. So that being said, let's go forward with it. All right, here we are at our practice screen. This is the last page of the manual. Just pull it up and go to full screen. And what you see here is essentially it's emulating what you will see when you're running DCS on your desktop in windowed mode. This is a little bit wider because it's an S. If it was a CD1, it would be narrower. If it was a Pimax or Reverb, it would be even wider. We have some references on the side. I'll add some more in, as well as a procedure, numbered procedure on the left. And it gives us a couple things. It gives us what step we're on and what the corresponding numbers. So step 1, we're going to define the left and right edge of the limit box, and that's where we should see these cursors. Step 2, here's step 2, and we should see these cursors represented in that location. So it's just kind of to help us get familiar with things. That being said, let's get started. What we have is on your S, as I push the updates out, you normally won't have to recalibrate. But if I add parameters or variables, you will have to do a factory reset. And when you have to do a factory reset, you will need to recalibrate. So to do a factory reset, the only thing we're going to do is we're just turn it on. We're going to press both black buttons with the left and right hand fingers. I'm sorry, which were both left and right hand buttons. And then we're just going to press the reset button. And what we should see is the cursor moving across the screen. And once that's done, it tells us it's resetting. Again, both black buttons, press and release the white button. As soon as the cursor starts to move, you can go ahead and release the black buttons, and now it's factory reset. And now you can go ahead and use it, especially if you have an S. You can see how it follows your hand, and it's going to be pretty close. So go ahead and mess around with it before you start going into the calibration procedures. Let's just put it back to where we're supposed to be. All right, so what we have here is on we have the box. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to enter the calibration mode, and then we're going to define the left and right edge of the cursor limit box. And what that is, the cursor limit box is just the cursor will not move further past our windowed mode. If it were to move further and we were to click out of it, it would lose focus on the DCS window. And you can obviously click out of the DCS window even when you have confined cursor clicked. So that's what we have to eliminate. The first thing we're going to do is step 1, or actually step 1 is going to be enter the calibration mode. To enter the calibration mode, we just press and hold the right button for 5 seconds, and we go into our circle. Okay, and from here we can change all the menu settings by pressing the right button. Will take us to the next menu item, which is where we adjust our zoom. Our zoom being, we'll do that later, but that's where we could just bring the FCU close to our face. It'll zoom in, and then bring it out, and it'll zoom out. Next is the edge calibration. This is an added step. It's not required, but once you get familiar with things and you really want precision on where your finger is pointing, you can use this mode. And then the FCU remapping, which should be the three distinct positions, emulating the three points or 3 switches. And we enter that mode, and we can define either the forward button is left click or the forward button is right click. And we'll just cycle on through, and then the X, if we were to press that, it would just exit the menu. That's if we decided we weren't going to do anything. Okay, so when it'll cycle back, we can go left or right. If we press the left, it goes back to the previous one, right is the next one. All right, but we wanted to do the calibration mode, which is the circle. So to enter any of those modes, we're just going to press the right-hand button. Okay, I'll press the right-hand button, and you'll see anytime the cursor is going down, that means you're entering a mode. When you're done making your adjustments, it'll save them, and then you'll see the cursor going up, and you'll go back into using your cursor. All right, so the first thing we're doing is number one, defining left and right edge of the cursor limit box. Okay, you can see they're pretty close to where they need to be, but let's say they weren't. Let's say they are over here. What we have is we have a new way of making these adjustments. You press the left-hand button, it moves both cursors left. The right-hand button, both cursors right. To toggle to make them wider or narrower, we just press the FCU3 or the furthest right-hand button. Now you can see the cursors get closer or they get wider. Okay, so depending upon your setup, you'll just adjust these so do not go past the DCS window. So I'm just going to expand them out a little bit. Okay, you can see I have to move them to the right a tiny bit, and about like that looks good. In the DCS game, you'll see the cursors will actually change. There'll be some offset to them, but this will just give you a general idea of what it looks like. All right, so once we have that, we're going to go to step 2, define top and bottom cursor limits. Okay, so that's step 2, and the cursor should look like 4 flashing cursors like that. And we advance to the next mode by pressing the on-off switch. Okay, we advance to the next mode, and you can see the 2 at the bottom. You don't see them at the top because they're off screen. That's just how cursors work. Also, now normally you won't have to, the average person won't have to do anything. They could just click right past this screen. This is only for if you have a monitor above it, like the Air Force guys, they've got a monitor above it, so they have to use this mode. Fox Delta's, his headset was reporting as another desktop, so he had to use this mode to bring down the cursor window to the portion that was identified as his rift. All right, so but normally you don't have to do it. You just leave it right at the max. You can see it's not moving because I have to shrink it first before I can move it. See, now it's shrinking. I can go back to up and down now, and you can put it wherever you need to if you have to do that. Again, most people will not have to mess with that, but it's there if you need it. You can just click right by it. All right, let's just get it widened out. Okay, so now we just defined our right limits, our left limits. That's it. We're going to go to step 3. Set left and right visible cursor targets. You can see at number 3, we're going to have a single cursor left and right. So that's going to pop up here when I press the next button. Press my next button. There they are. There are the 2 cursors. These are lined up in a good spot. At this point, you would look at your monitor, because so far, even doing the real adjustments, we wouldn't be in the headset. You just want to ensure that your cursors are going to be within your headset. If you look in your headset and you can't see them, you're just going to make it narrower or move it left or right. To make it narrower, same thing. We're just going to click, and then I'll move them closer together. Put your headset on. Oh, yep, there they are. That's good. So now you can leave your headset on if you were really doing it. In this mode, though, we're still going to go through the process just for training. So we're going to pretend we're looking through the headset, and we're going to put these out to the outboard edges. And what we're going to do is we want it to be so we can just see them. Even though it'll work if they're close, if they're very close, it's not going to be accurate when you when we go to the next step, which is actually lining up the FCU where we feel the FCU is pointing. So you want them just so you can where you can just about see them. So I'll go a little bit wider here, and we'll pretend that's our field of view, and that's good. All right, so now we're going to go to the next step by clicking on the right button, and you'll see you can just about see them on the top and bottom of the screen. However, when you put on your headset, and we're going to leave it here. Again, we're not going to have to adjust it unless you have a extended desktop. But when you put your headset on, you'll see actually the cursors in there, and I'm just going to make it look like they actually do in the headset. And you'll see something that looks more like this. The lower cursor will be a little bit higher, and it won't go any further. And your real mouse in real life, with the headset on, you can't move further past that anyways. It's just whatever point control sees is what the mouse sees. So anyways, this is what you're going to see at the max settings, and we're going to do it there just to make the next step easier. Again, normally we'll just click right through that. Okay, so we defined the left and right, we've defined the upper and lower. Now we're going to point at each of the presented targets, and we're going to click on it. So you can see the cursor is locked in the center, it doesn't move, and we're just going to emulate or pretend we have our headset on. We're just going to put it next to our head. I'm going to point at the cursor, and you can see I don't see anything. There were some questions about that. You're not going to see anything, nor should you, because we're zeroing the perception of our arm to the cursor, and then we're just going to left click on it. But we want to make sure it's lit. See how it's not lit now? So we're going to right click till the light goes on. We won't go to the next step or rear click until we press the forwardmost button. So if my light is on, forwardmost button, it jumps to the 9 o'clock position, 3 o'clock, line it up, and then finally the bottom one, and now you'll see it coming out of the mode, and there we go. And you can see it's pretty much following our hand, and we know we're calibrated. And that's all there is to calibration. And this is an additional step. So with the defining the cursor box, so we can use the centered window mode. All right, so we're just going to go through it again really briefly. Somebody could hop out, you could leave here if you got it. If you want to see it again at regular speed, this is what this is. All right, so we'll start out. We just downloaded our new firmware. Oh, got a factory reset. Press it. There goes my cursor. I'm factory reset. I have to enter calibration mode now, so I'm just going to press and hold and you can see it works. I'm going to press and hold the right button. Okay, cursor went down. We're entering the menu. First menu is calibration. That's what we want. Right click. Okay, set my left and right limits for my cursor box. Okay, that looks good. Okay, my upper limits are good. I can click through that one. All right, now I'm doing my targets. I want to make it so I can see them. All right, we'll just say I have to move it a little bit. Okay, that looks good. My upper limits, we're going to click through those unless you have an expanded desktop. We're back to the cursor targets. I'm going to carefully align each one where I feel I'm pointing straight ahead. Make sure you're zeroed on your centering your headset also in DCS. You're going to click on each one. And there we are. That's all there is to it. I hope that was helpful, and I'm going to put out a bunch more of these type probably today or tomorrow. They'll actually be up, and if they're helpful, let me know. If they're not, let me know. Thank you very much.